Where are you in Dublin?
I'm in Dublin, but I'm so thrilled to talk to you. I've been watching your career since The Secret Life of Us.
Aha.
So I'm thrilled to be talking to you today, Joel. And we're here talking to you about a film that you're currently starring in called Warrior with Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
This looks like it's a film about mixed martial arts, but it's more than just that, isn't it?
Oh, it's much more than that, yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I'm loath to describe movies in other movies. You know, there's a real Hollywood tradition of going, this is like Forrest Gump meets Porky's, you know.
That'd be an interesting movie.
That's definitely this movie. No, this movie is very much like a kind of a modern, you know, Rocky. Not just, I mean, it sort of has the same essence and a similar kind of drive to it, but it's also a kind of a modern version of Rocky in that it does for the mixed martial arts world what Rocky did for the boxing world, I think. But what it really is a family story, a real sort of story about two estranged brothers and a father that make up this kind of triangle of a very disturbed family.
Yeah.
And it's the backdrop is this world of mixed martial arts, you know. So it's a really great family drama, and the fighting really is just really great icing on the cake.
Yeah. And what is it about fight films? I mean, you mentioned Rocky there, and one of my all-time favourite films is Rocky, but I'm such a pacifist. But when it comes to fight films, I absolutely love them.
Well, I think we're all sort of split about fighting. Fighting really taps into this kind of fight or flight syndrome we're all aware of. You know, we're all kind of ingrained with it. It's that real sense of curiosity about our own mortality, and I think we're always sort of fascinated by danger and aggression and death, and we watch fights, and on one hand we judge them as brutal, and on the other hand, it's sort of part of our DNA, you know.
Yeah.
And ironically, I think women love Warrior as much and sometimes more than the men do.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, and you know, the other beautiful thing, I remember when I first saw Rocky, you come out of the cinema and you're like, right, I hope someone picks a fight with me now, because I reckon now more than ever, any time in my life, I could win. And people who have seen this movie describe that feeling to me. Not that we want to incite violence, but
not at all.
It makes people inspired and feel strong and courageous, and they get moved by it, you know.
Yeah. Well, talking about danger, aggression and death, you were forced to face some real fighters in this film. What were your fear factor levels like on set those days?
Well, as with any experience, your perception of what your fears and concerns are going to be don't really sum up everything, you know, in hindsight. I mean, in hindsight, I realised my greatest fear was injuring them rather than being injured by them.
Really?
And why I say that is, you know, two of the guys I was facing in the movie, Anthony Rumble Johnson and a guy called Nate Marquardt, who were both UFC fighters, and Kurt Angle, who's an Olympic wrestler, they all make their money, their livelihood is fighting. Now, I was getting them in certain choreographed kind of positions where jiu-jitsu positions like kimuras and, you know, arm bars and leg bars and rear naked chokes, and these are wrestling terms where the limbs are kind of really jeopardized. You know, if I move a little bit too far this way, I could pop a guy's shoulder out.
Yeah. Oh, ouch.
And my concern was that if I, you know, wreck someone's shoulder or dislocate their arm, that not only do they lose their livelihood, but with their other good arm, they beat the shit out of me.
Yeah,
excuse my French.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't be nice. Now, but you do have a black belt in karate, don't you? So did you feel a bit
somewhere
confident?
dusty up the back of my teenage shelf. I was 16. I had a black belt in Shotokan karate, which was, you know, a great discipline, but you know, I wasn't really in it for the fighting. In fact, I had a fight when I was in high school about a year after I quit karate, and I was still as scared of fighting as I was before I'd ever done martial arts. As a side note, just for my own sake, I did win that fight.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Thanks to Shotokan karate.
I'm glad to hear that. Now, in this film, Joel, Nick Nolte plays your dad, and I've seen him in Celebrity Apprentice, and he seems like a lot of fun, but he also seems a little off the wall. What was he like working with?
Nick is off the wall.
Yeah.
Nick is as much a kind of a seasoned professional adult actor as he is a child, a playful kind of child, as all good actors are. He's brilliant. I think he's awesome in the movie. I think he's a very kind of special human being. And as another side note, I think anybody who's been famous for that long, oftentimes just seems a little off the wall, because I think their perception of what real life is just different,
Yeah.
Because they've been stared at and looked at and talked about for so long.
How do you handle that, Joel? Because you've been in this business for a while. Many people will know you from The Secret Life of Us. How do you handle all the attention that comes your way?
Well, at the moment, I sort of straddle both worlds. I mean, in Australia, I have a sense of, a bit of a profile or whatever you call it. But, I walk around America with a great sense of freedom and anonymity, and, perhaps movies like Warrior could change that. But
well, I think it will, Joel.
Yeah, maybe. And, look, the thing is, if you're an actor and you go and complain about fame and, lack of anonymity, you have signed up for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you are aware that that's the direction you're headed in. It's never as fun as you might imagine, but to kind of complain about it and wish that it didn't exist, you did actually actively pick up the pen and sign on the dotted line.
True. And Joel, what is it about Australian actors at the moment? I mean, Hollywood seems to be calling on the likes of yourself, Sam Worthington and Chris Hemsworth to play tough leading men, but they're American roles, yet they're coming to Australian talent. Why do you think that's the case at the moment?
Well, I mean, it might seem like that. There's a whole lot of American actors who are playing all the other tough roles as well, and a lot of British actors like Tom who are kind of fulfilling a lot of stuff. The world has really opened up, and I think Australian actors have been on those lists and in those movies for a long time, starting with Mel Gibson and probably further back than that, and Russell and Guy and all these people, and all the girls like Kate and Tony, and we're out there mixing it with the best people, and thankfully sometimes we're the best person for the job.
Brilliant. And one of the films that brought you to the attention of many film goers was King Arthur. That was filmed here in Ireland.
Yeah, I lived in Dublin for like 5 months and had the time of my life.
Oh, tell us about some of those experiences.
Well, I had a ponytail that was almost down to my butt, which definitely affects your social life. And I was bearded up and growling my way around Dublin. And we were shooting on the Guinness estate, about an hour and a bit outside of Dublin.
Yeah.
Clive Owen and a bunch of guys. It was a great time. I had my own horse.
Oh, wow.
I had a sword and an axe. I got to, kill a few folk with a spear. We had a really fun time. I would love to come back to Dublin.
Oh, we'd love to have you back here. And can you tell me about you've got quite a few films coming up, and two that are of real interest to me at the moment are The Thing and The Great Gatsby with the great Baz Luhrmann. What can you tell me about those two?
Yeah, well, The Great Gatsby, we're just launching into. We're shooting in Sydney till the end of the year.
Yeah.
A lot of great things about it. The great Leonardo DiCaprio and Kerry Mulligan and Tobey Maguire and Baz. And I think it's just Baz is the right person to be the keeper of this book.
Yeah. Because
it needs a visual poetry that matches the poetry and the language of the book. The Thing comes out not long after Warrior, and it's a prequel to the John Carpenter 1982 film of the same title, which I think is just a really great partner piece and a really clever point of view to make a film a prequel of. And I've got this other great film coming out too called The Odd Life of Timothy Green, which is a Disney film with Jennifer Garner, directed by Peter Hedges, who wrote the book and the screenplay for What's Eating Gilbert Grape, and recently made movies like Dan in Real Life and Pieces of April. So, I'm in a very great position right now. I'm very happy with what I'm doing. I'm totally in love with being an actor, and I feel very privileged, to be in this sort of wide range of films that I'm really proud of.
That's fantastic to hear. And finally, Joel, I can't let you go without asking you. This film asks, what do you fight for? So what do you or would you fight for?
Coffee in the morning. No, you should see me just pushing the lines aside. No, I really relate. I think that's part of the reason Gavin saw me as the right guy to play this role, is that I have a real softness and a real depth of feeling for family and friends. I don't know. I just think that those things really charge me up. So I think that's why I really relate to this character.
Brilliant. Well, Joel, it was so cool to talk to you. I'm looking forward to all the success that comes your way. And you know what? You really deserve it. So enjoy it.